So what do you get when you combine the gameplay of an RPG with the open world of a survival and spice it all up with some over-the-top base building? Well, you get Enshrouded. Launched in early access at the start of 2024, it managed to get a massive following, thanks to its really captivating open world, deep class building system, engaging combat, and great update support. And with the newly announced update 1.0 for later this year, this is also the best time to grab Enshrouded at the best price it's ever been during this year's Steam Summer Sale. The discount will last from June 25th up until July 9th, and on that note, I'll give a huge shout out to Keen Games for being the sponsors of today's video. So totally check out Enshrouded by following my links down below. Now keep in mind that the game is currently still in early access, however its planned full release is scheduled for October 15th with its update 1.0, so of course this was a recent announcement, but until then there are still some things that got recently changed in another patch, which is 0.8. So this already revamped the skill tree system, added cool new mechanics to make your build even stronger, some exploration upgrades as well, so we're going to check those, starting of course with the fact that I kind of want to go with a caster build for this one. And specifically what I'm aiming for is a wand specialization you see here at the bottom. Pretty much every weapon type has its own specialization in the latest update, and what this does is that it gives you a new focus mechanic that you can consume for very powerful attacks. So as you attack enemies and defeat them in combat, if you have this invested in, you can generate focus here at the bottom. And once you fully fill that focus bar, you can then spend all of that focus on a very strong one-time ability that typically is much stronger than anything else. For example, in the case of my wand, it's typically going to be one of these orbs that also pull targets in, and it's going to be dependent on the element that I have on that wand. So since I'm playing a caster, I'm going to go further down in the tree, starting with the blink, which is amazing for evasive maneuvers, going straight into unity, which also helps a lot with mana generation while attacking. Also of course that one specialization I was talking about for the focus abilities, but pretty much the whole skill tree system got some pretty big revamps, so now all of the more important nodes are a lot more immediate, so pretty much every upgrade you make will still feel very strong right out of the gate. On the way, I may also grab Iceman. I was lucky enough actually and got a legendary frost wand, so I'm going to invest more points into ice damage, but obviously you're free to go with whatever you want. Earlier in the build, I also grabbed double jump. I really recommend that for exploration to reach higher up places. But pretty much the whole skill tree got revamped in such a way that it now kind of reminds me a bit of Diablo's overflow mechanic. So you may even find pieces of armor and rings, as you will see in just a little bit, that gives you plus points into specific skills, some of which you may not have even unlocked just yet, or letting you go past the limit that you can normally invest into the skill tree itself. But more on that in just a little bit. In the meantime, we're going to do a little bit of exploration, and here is the next tip I have for you. If you want to save on some time and materials, you can actually get a really good house for free on this side of the map. The reason I really like this location is because this house already comes in pretty decent conditions, so you can save on crafting mats, but it also gets a lot of beds that you can use to assign to your crafters. In addition to this, it also has a pretty spacious basement to place crafting stations, so pretty good from the get-go. On a similar note, I also suggest not skipping on upgrading the altar nearby, so if you upgrade this, it's going to cover the whole house. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to build in the places that are not covered or assign beds. But if you upgrade this and covers the whole house, you're pretty much good to go. Now, once you get the house up and running, I recommend checking out the new glider and other traversal mechanics that got added in patch 8. So first, head over right here and create a workbench. What you can do straight from level 1 is immediately craft yourself your basic glider and the grappling hook. These are a godsend. The glider is completely new and even gets extra upgrades later down the line once you unlock the carpenter, but it's just going to make exploration so much easier. Keep in mind that the game map is rather large and it features quite a lot of biomes, from plain fields to lush jungles, arid deserts and canyons, all the way to volcanic hellscapes and more. And there's a lot of verticality here as well as you unlock the spires, so you can take advantage, especially of the glider, to reach places much quicker, especially as you climb the mountains and the spires and then look out for the areas below. Which also brings me to point number 3. Let's talk a bit about the loot, some of the new changes, and what to look out for to become a lot stronger. Because loot and items have got a pretty big buff in the new updates, specifically armor. So you're going to notice lots of epics and legendaries with extra perk levels, and every time you invest in these items, you can unlock better and better abilities from them. Typically, it can be something that just boosts up your different types of damages, like cutting armor or fire damage and whatnot, all the way to giving you plus bonuses to your skill tree nodes. But other items can give much better options, like this ring of health that gives us +1 to veteran and +1 to battle heal. So obviously, you want to reach these nodes and get those bonuses, as they can greatly exceed the power of whatever your skill tree already provides, just like back in Diablo 4. So that is why I want to specifically focus on getting some better gear, and that is why my next recommendation is to focus on dungeons. Dungeons are a really good place to actually get gear. Even if you don't get the gear you want, you can break it down into a consumable material that you use to upgrade other items anyway. So the game is filled to the brim with dungeons, loot locations, castles with tough enemies and bosses, and they are all definitely worth it. So once you do find some of these locations, looking around, you're going to get a lot of enemy chests with loot inside of them, and usually you can find something that's really strong or a direct upgrade. But even if it's not something that you can upgrade, you can at least break down that piece of gear and extract runes out of it. So runes is that resource I was talking about that we're going to use to virtually upgrade everything from armor to weapons, accessories, all the way to even resetting our skill tree. But the crucial detail that you may need to know in the new update is that upgrading these items is going to be very role specific. Just to give you an example, since I'm playing with a mage/caster armor, I can visit an alchemist to upgrade my own mage armor. However, if you were to play with a warrior, you would obviously visit the blacksmith to do that upgrading for you. And similar, if you were to go with a ranger, you would visit the huntress to perform that upgrade. But let's keep on going, because in the most recent update, we also got a new layer of build progression, which is done via gems. And gems are basically amazing. They provide even more extra abilities and bonuses we can now directly slot on our gear. But for that, we're going to need a gem forge. And it just so happens that our very first gem forge that we get to visit also has a nice farming spot near it to give us precisely all the essences we need for the process. This is, by the way, the gem forge location we can find early on, and we can virtually get archaic essences pretty much right next to it. Now, for the early version, we only get to use level 1 archaic essences, which give us access to some pretty decent gems. But as we progress in the game and gems get way better, we have to unlock and find more of these gem forges around the game, which obviously also use higher level archaic essences that we can farm from similar locations used for socketing. Now, before we jump into the adventure sharing stuff, I do have another tip for you to make your inventory management a lot easier, and that is to rush saving the carpenter and then unlocking the quick stack station. And if you place this in your base, this now allows you to deposit items from your backpack into all nearby magic chests simultaneously without a single interaction. That is because magic chests can now be accessed from pretty much anywhere via this new dedicated menu tab you see here on the top left of the screen. So you don't have to run back and forth. You just click on the magic chest tab and deposit and do all the loot filtering you want from here. Anyway, this brings us to one of the final aspects I want to cover about the game, and that is the really crazy community support here that it has via the shared world. You're going to notice that there are dozens of pages of player-created worlds, and some of them took thousands of hours to recreate some of the most intricate and popular locations from different lores out there, from Lord of the Rings to Harry Potter universe, and pretty much everything else in between, because Enshrouded community is actually pretty bonkers for pulling this off. But let me show you some of the locations I really liked, especially starting with Rivendell. This is one of my favorites. It took 24 builders a whole 3,000 hours to fully recreate pretty much the whole of Rivendell. And this is what I really like about this community. They are very engaged in everything they are doing. So jumping over here, I think that they did a great job at recreating the elven architecture. All of the elven looking NPCs everywhere pretty much, and every single furniture and accessory is, yeah, pretty much befitting the Tolkien elven world. I think that they put a lot of attention to detail in this. They actually did a great job at recreating Elrond's council as well, you know, where the fate of the ring was decided in the movies. So that is actually a pretty nice attention to detail. I don't know if you guys remember Narsil, you know, Elendil's sword, which is displayed over here. In the movie, yeah, we have the scene with Sauron battling Elendil. So they accurately recreated that in Enshrouded as well. I'm totally baffled that they were able to pull this off. And we have great scenes from the movies as well, reimagined in like all of this extremely large build right here. Crazy thing is, it's not even the only Lord of the Rings related location. We also have another map with the Shire, and this took 20 builders a whole 1,650 hours to build. Now, this is the even more impressive one for me personally, because from the minute you step foot in this Shire, you already see Gandalf and Frodo in the carriage as Frodo's journey begins, obviously in the movies. Further away, you have a whole Shire resting upon the hills and the valley, including Bilbo's birthday party, we can see right here. So that actually is really spectacular. We can also see the banner and even Bilbo NPC up here for some reason, eager to put the ring on and of course scare every party attending member, but that is also part of the movie. Every single little hobbit house is furnished as well in great detail. Every road, every pond. We even have the Green Dragon Inn, where we, you know, get to witness drunk little hobbits in the movie. So yeah, that is also a quick reminder. Going up the back end here, we find Bilbo's house, which is also from the movie. And this desk here where we started writing the famous line, "There and back again, a hobbit's tale." So really, really nice attention to detail. I actually want to check a Hogwarts map as well. There is one over here with over 30 builders. This one has 96,000 placed objects and over 6,000 build hours. Holy smokes. Now, I'm a big fan of Hogwarts Legacy, of course, so I'm gonna check this out. It does seem to feature virtually a lot of locations in the game. It does feature the castle area, so the moment you enter the castle, it's absolutely crazy. It features the Grand Hall over here, and, you know, the place where the sorting hat ceremony takes place in. It's not the only one, however, there are various of the house locations as well. So you're going to find the Gryffindors. There is a specific location here you can find. You can also go to the Slytherin, which is further down in the castle, obviously going with that Slytherin theme. So really impressive work here. They even recreated Hogsmeade, which is crazy to me. Like virtually all of the shops, I think they are here. We also have the inn area, if you remember. It looks a little bit bigger, but of course it's a different game, so obviously it makes sense. Even when Ron crashed with the friggin' car is in this build right here that you can go ahead and check out. Insane dedication from the community nonetheless. So again, totally check out Enshrouded by following the links below, and also get the game at its cheapest price yet, from June 25th up until the 9th of July. Huge shout out once again to Keen Games for sponsoring the video, and I'll see you guys next time.